right, it's Monday night at 8 o'clock, and I'm so glad you could join me. June 22nd. It's almost the end of June. Is this crazy? I'm going to talk about my weekend real quick and then get to my guest. All right, so my weekend actually started on Thursday. Thursday, we had a little mini Bat Boy reunion in the Boogie Down Bronx. We went to Gino's Pastry Shop. We surprised Ray Negron. Some of the cast members weren't too many people. And I want to thank Jerome and Giovanna from Gino's Pastry Shop. There's Jerome. And it was delicious and it was fun and we had a really good time. So shout out to Giovanna and Jerome. That was Thursday. Friday, what did I do Friday? Friday, I'm so excited. Friday, I decided to have a few of my comedy friends come over, social distance in the backyard. And what do you get when you have 5 comics, 5 comics plus 2 civilians equal 1 funny ass night? We laughed for 5 hours and we had a great time. So I want to thank Cara Amore and Kristen Tinsley and Fat Jay and Bonnie Scalisi. We had a blast for 5 hours and I can't wait to do it again. Okay, Saturday, I was at Rescuing Families. Rescuing Families is a nonprofit that helps people in need of a home improvement for someone who's disabled and have to have a ramp put in or a wider shower for them. So they are lovely people. Gina and Vinny, shout out to Gina and Vinny. They're going to be doing it again this weekend. The address is 1010 Lewiston Street in Franklin Square. Okay, I was there at 9:30. Doors open 10 a.m. They sanitize your hands. You wear a mask. They give you a basket that was sanitized. You go in, you shop. It's limited, 3 people in each area. You come out, they disinfect the basket. They give you more hand sanitizer. It was done beautifully. So if you're not doing anything this Saturday or Sunday, take a ride to Franklin Square. All the money goes to a great cause. And they also have a progressive 50-50. So for $2, you put it in and the money just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And you never know. You might win. Sunday, yesterday, happy Father's Day for everyone who's a father and a daddy. I'm blessed that my 85-year-old father is still here. He's in Florida. And I hope everyone had a wonderful Father's Day. I was at my brother's in Massapequa having a barbecue, eating too much. I made my mother's famous artichoke pie, which was a big hit. And it went, and everyone had a great time. All right, before I get to my guest, a big shout out to my girl, Gigi. Happy birthday, G. G plays Thurman Munson's wife in Bat Boy. I am her Thelma. She is my Louise. We are roommates. We are road trip buddies. And she is my fellow cast Bat Boy member. Bat Boy cast member. So happy birthday, Gigi. Happy and healthy. All right, so now let's get to my guest because this is exciting. I have Regina DeCicco's in the house. Regina is a stand-up comic. She's an actor. She's a writer, and she's a fellow Italian chick. Hello, Regina DeCicco.
Hello, Teresa. How are you doing?
Fabulous, girl. I'm so glad you joined me this evening. I want to know all about you. You and I were supposed to work together on an Italian chick show, which unfortunately got canceled.
Yes.
And I'm so looking forward to working with you.
I know.
But I want everyone to I like to learn some things about my guests with my audience. So I want to know, you're originally from the Bronx yourself, right?
Yeah, so I was born in the Bronx, and then when I was little, my family moved up to Rockland County. And they did the big, oh my God, they were like, there's grass here, there's hills. Like they were like so like backyards. Like I remember my mom, every time they saw greenery in Rockland County, they were like, this is amazing. They thought it was the most beautiful thing they'd ever seen.
And then you actually went to Clarkstown High School in West Nyack.
Yes. Yeah, there's also a Clarkstown North, Teresa. So you got to be specific because there's a big rivalry.
It's got to be the right high school, the right high school.
They got to be Clarkstown South. There's a big North-South.
South. Mm-hmm. And then you went to Barnard College.
I did, which is a women's college.
What'd you major in?
English. I was an English major.
Really?
Yes.
And what did your parents think you were going to do with that? Maybe
be a lawyer? Definitely not what this turned into.
I know. So then I have to ask, how did you get into comedy? How did that happen?
I want to say I was definitely one of those kids that was always funny. I always liked being the center of attention. But I think, you grew up, it's like my dad was born in Italy. It's like the immigrant mentality of like, you work hard and you make money and then that's it. And then everything I did was sort of like in this other world of like, you know, and my family's in the supermarket business and they've done really well. Yes. And then I think,
can we mention the name? Can we mention
we can, DeCicco and Sons.
DeCicco and Sons, and they're up in Rockland, right?
Westchester, mostly now. They're all in Westchester.
Okay.
Yeah, so DeCicco and Sons, which I like to say is everybody but Regina. Just that's how you remember. That's okay. That's okay.
That's great.
So then, but I think for my family, it was like they worked from nothing and made this business, and it was like, well, we could help you if you did supermarkets, but like if I were to pursue basically what I pursued, they didn't know how to help me then. So that was like, I think that was the hardest part for them. Like we worked hard, like go from here, and I'm like, no, let me start over.
Right. Come on into the family business, right? Yeah. No, I know. But so what year did you start in comedy?
So for officially stand-up, I want to say this maybe is starting my 11th year now.
Okay.
Or I think, or maybe it was 10 years, I think in October.
Oh,
so,
nice.
I did improv a little before that. I worked in television before that. I always circled around stand-up, and then I finally took a class.
So what came before stand-up? Because it says that you actually, you were part of the Upright Citizens Brigade. That was an improv troupe,
so
right?
So I studied improv at UCB, and then I was like with an all-girl group, Candy Slice, we were called. So we would like make videos. It's really funny because when I think about it, it's like I went to a women's college. I did Candy Slice, the Italian chicks. Like no matter what I do,
you're surrounded by vaginas. Yeah,
exactly. I keep it. I like it. I like the lady parts.
Yeah, I do too. I like being with women and around women. It's very empowering. It really is.
I agree. It's important.
So basically you wet your chops, so to speak, with improv.
Yes.
And you also wrote, because I don't, in the order in which you've done things, it's a little, might be out of order, but you also wrote an original musical comedy.
Yes.
Which premiered at Bucks County Playhouse in New Hope, PA, back in November 2017, and it was called The New World. So tell me what that was about and how that came to be.
Okay, so this was like a totally different, well, you know how it is. When you're in this field, you have no idea what you're supposed to be doing or how you're supposed to be doing it. Yeah. So there was a girl that I was writing with, and we were like pitching sitcoms and doing different kinds of things. We met a composer. We got along really well, and he asked if we ever tried to write like the book for musical, like the dialogue for musical. And of course we hadn't, but we liked him. We were like, let's try. And this was a very long journey. So whenever you see a show on Broadway, and I mean, you know this too, that journey from start to finish, the fact if a show can even make it, it's insane. I mean, I have so much respect for those actors, and I mean, for everybody, because it's a wild journey. So we started on this journey, and we started doing readings, and then we started doing like workshops, and then we wound up premiering it at New Hope, Pennsylvania. And it's basically the story of the first Thanksgiving, and kind of that like the history is in the dysfunction. So basically, like family dysfunction existed from the beginning of time.
Listen, everyone, there isn't anyone that comes from a normal family.
Right.
Everyone comes from there's always somebody or something going on, That's the bottom line. That's like when I go to the doctor and he's like, do you have any stress? And I'm like, introduce me to a person who doesn't have stress.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, really? So yeah, I think everyone has a little something in their own family. Absolutely. Totally.
For sure. And for us, it's funny. So my mom and her sister married my dad and his brother. Two sisters.
Oh, that's so
brothers.
Cool. Yeah.
So then growing up, I had like double cousins. Yeah. So we were always together, the 8 of us. So people would ask like, oh, who was at dinner? And I would be like, oh, just the 8 of us. And everyone's like, just the 8 of you? But I'm like, well, we start at 8 and then we grow from there. Yeah. And you don't realize how crazy it is when you talk to other people. Right. And you're like, oh, I guess that was a little, and we would go to the doctor with each other. There's stuff that I think back to where I'm like, why were we all at the pediatrician together? Why were all of us there?
You just take one trip. You know what I mean? Just get in one car. You save gas. You don't have to worry about
parking. Or I always laugh too whenever anyone's in the emergency room, right? Like you all show up at the, like, It's so crazy. It's like nobody does anything alone. It's like, all right, we're coming. Why are we even going? But we'll all be there. Don't worry.
It's great. I want to say hello to Marianne Manzano's watching and Kara's watching and everyone says hello. And Gina, hi Gina. I gave you a shout out, Gina. We're gonna do it again. So you were actually on Dr. Oz as yourself. Why?
So they were doing like a sketch, and I mean, so I was on with another comedian, and basically what we were doing was we were saying we were two people that were addicted to sparkles. So we were all like, and it's funny actually, Teresa. I wore the shirt, one of the shirts I wear for the Italian chicks,
with the sequins.
Which would make sense. That shirt would not make sense anywhere else except at an Italian chick show. So, but when I said to them, "Don't worry, I have the wardrobe," so then that's what Dr. Oz was like. Oh, and it was funny. I was with my friend Teresa. And then they were like, "Oh, Regina and Teresa, tell me about your problem." And we're like, "We love sparkles." And then he said, "You probably think the cure is diamonds, but the cure is to drink more water." So that was
funny.
That's
funny. I actually went to one of his shows, and then I saw my friend Richie. Richie does warm up there.
Love Richie.
I've known Richie forever, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" Because you lose touch, and then through Facebook, you like reconnect with everyone.
Yeah.
So that was insane. And then you've done a number of comedy festivals. You've done a lot of comedy festivals.
I think I don't want to say I went through a phase, but I think with comedy too, like I was saying, you're not really sure what you're supposed to be doing, and you're kind of not sure how you advance your career. So I went through a phase of being like, okay, like a phase though, because then it's like, you're paying to apply, and then a lot of times like you have to pay to fly yourself to Atlanta to do the festival.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that you have to pay, and then you have to pay to get there, and then it's a process.
Right.
I mean, it's a great learning experience.
Yes.
For sure.
And, yeah, you definitely. I mean, you meet comics from all over when you go. A lot of times there's industry there. But I remember when I went to Atlanta, one of my opening jokes was about like the subway. And as soon as I went to open my mouth, I thought, wait, you don't know about the subway. So I think that's why the festivals are good, because they remind you your jokes that work every night in the city. Well, guess what? If you're traveling, you need new jokes.
Yeah, you have to adjust and write something. Yeah, for that moment,
yeah,
those people or the place. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great. And you also worked behind the scenes at Saturday Night Live. What did you do there?
So I was actually in the set department there. It's like the set design. So then what my job was, I would help dress sets. So like when they make a set, basically you start with 3 walls, and then somebody has to come in and be like, oh, like this room needs a light switch and sconces and a picture on the wall. And I think you don't really think about, we all take for granted, like, where the light switch is, but I would put the light switch up, and then like the headset designer, he'd be like, Regina, that's where a light switch goes. And I'm like, I don't know. That's where I thought it went. And he's like, that's ridiculous. But then you have to be like, oh, let me, like, how do I flick the switch? Where's the switch supposed to be?
That's 2 of my friends worked that show. They were stagehands.
Oh, wow. The crew was I love the crew at SNL. That's who I was with all the time.
Yeah. But it's like, but how did that happen? Like you're parlaying from like one thing into the other. Like how did you stumble into, setting a set? I mean,
how it happened was I interned at the weekend edition of the Today Show at NBC while I was in college.
Okay.
When I finished that internship, they were like, oh, do you want your resume to go back in the pool? So I said, yeah. So I wrote, and I'd written a cover letter. My initial cover letter was like, I want to be at Saturday Night Live or Conan. And when I met with them, they were like, well, who do you know there? And I said, I don't know anybody. And then they said, well, then you're not going to intern at either of those shows. Like, so that's when I realized, like, the high stakes internships are hard to get. Like a lot of times you do have to know somebody. So when Saturday Night Live later needed an intern, and then they eventually hired me with a job, they were going through the pool. They happened to see my cover letter, and they said they never got an intern this way before, but they called me in, and then they wound up really liking me. And even though I didn't have set design experience, I was always a huge Saturday Night Live fan. So it was almost like a dictionary. So they were like, well, you know what? She's useful. And then they were they started to teach me more and more. And then once they hired me, the longer I was there, the more I would do. So, I mean, the thing is, I didn't have a future in set design because I didn't study it. So
how long were you actually there?
When I interned, it was Will Ferrell's last season. And when I finally left, it was Kristen Wiig's first season.
Wow.
So it was a while.
Yeah. But I'm sure you learned a lot behind the scenes.
Oh, of course. I would say definitely.
That's a class within itself. That's
right.
that you can't pay for.
Right. Definitely like understanding live television and then really being on a set. So like even when I auditioned to get the job at The View, like I'm very comfortable in a television studio. And I think that right away, I think they could tell. I think that helped me a lot because I was like, oh, and I was like, crew guys, show me the way. It's like, these are my boys.
Great. Listen, I want to say hello to Joseph who's watching and everyone else watching. You like the show and share it. Okay, do a watch party when the show's over, but like it and share it. And we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from my sponsors. We'll be right back with Regina DeCicco. Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Tavolo Kitchen and Pizza, located at 1919 Wantaw Avenue in Wantaw. Hey, there's something for every night of the week. Tuesdays, pasta night, wine Wednesdays, Friday, live music from 7 to 10, Sunday brunch. So check them out at 516-308-4892 or www.tavolokitchen.com. They're also on Instagram. They do catering and private parties. So where do you want to go tonight?
Are you bored?
Oh my God!
Hold on tight. We're gonna coast us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm with my friend and fellow comic and fellow Italian chick, Regina DeCicco is in the house tonight, and I'm so happy she's here doing my show. I want to personally thank you for joining me tonight. We were talking about doing comedy and how you've done a lot of different things. And like you said, in this industry, you end up doing a lot of different things, and then you see where you land. I mean, not only will you dressing sets on SNL, but you also were a contributor to the Howard Stern show.
Oh, so that
Tell me about that.
That was another really fun thing that happened. There was another comic that works on the show, and then he was like, Regina, you have a great voice. Like, would you ever want to do some calls with us?
Right.
So, and that was I was very intimidated going into those offices. And it's funny because my husband listens to Stern like all the time. So it was actually great because I'm so used to hearing in the background that I was familiar with like all the players. But when I went in, I was like, oh my goodness. And the team it's a lot of men. He has like mostly guys, but they could not be more supportive. Like they were an amazingly support. I did not expect like that. Like they were all like always there for me and like, what do you need? And I felt like they're always like cheering me on. So it was wild. So then I would do
that's cool.
Yeah, no. So it's like a really great. He has a great setup. Like it's a great atmosphere. I mean, it was wildly inappropriate, the stuff that I was saying, and it was funny. My brother now, he married his fiance, but they were in the car with her mom, and he's like, "Oh, Regina did this clip." And he went to play it, and like they both said, they were like, "This is Regina." I was like, "What?" It's Stern. So
right. They have to have a little idea of what's going on.
Right, exactly. I was like, not my normal stuff.
So you've done TV, you've done film, you've done theater. Where do you feel the most comfortable?
I would say right now, I really, really love the audience warm up. And I think because like it involves performing live, which I do love. I love live television. Yeah. Even like I worked on a sitcom at one point, and it's so much more stop and go, and even like taped segments. I love the energy of like live. For some reason, I rise to that pressure as opposed to being scared of live TV.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, Regina is the warm-up comic for The View. And as you know, they're working from home right now.
Yes.
But you actually met Whoopi, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you warm up her show or you were working with her on her show?
I was the assistant to the executive producers on her show. So when I worked at Whoopi's show, this is before I was doing stand-up.
Okay.
So I had met her previously, which was kind of great. Then when I went into audition at The View, she looked at the audience and she was like, tell everybody how you know me. And then I got to tell them the story. And I think the whole crew was like, what do you mean how she knows? This girl just got here. How does she know Whoopi? And it was good for me. That worked well for me.
How was the audition for The View?
So the audition was doing the job. So basically they called me to come in and they were like, you're going to come in. And I did it 2 days in a row. That was how they were auditioning everybody. So it was definitely like, it was a wild, surreal feeling. But what I said to my husband was, I felt like I was doing a job for the first time that I had done my whole life. If that made sense. Like, I very much, all of a sudden, I was like, oh, wait, I think I know exactly what this is. Right. And then I was able to find my way.
So basically, you get up and you're doing, you because you're very personable. So it's easy for you to connect with the audience and they like that, whether they're playing music and you're getting up and you're dancing or you're focusing on one person or the whole crowd. And so you're getting them in the mood and you're raising their spirits. And that's what you're a cheerleader. You're a comedic cheerleader and you're getting them all revved and pumped. And then in between the commercial breaks, that's when you come back out again and try to interact.
Yeah, and then just keep them going. And I like to get to know them. I like to connect them with each other. You know what I mean? See who's like from a similar place. What's totally different than stand-up is like whenever I do stand-up, I'm never like, who has a birthday today? So that kind of thing is very, normally in stand-up, you're like, who's celebrating anything? I don't do that in my stand-up. But like at The View, but a lot of times you don't have to ask because it's like, who's got a blinking crown on already? You know what I mean? It's very clear who's celebrating.
Right. Yeah. They could be advertising on a shirt,
Right.
Exactly. I got divorced. I'm single now. Who's looking?
Oh, yeah. No, listen, we get that too. Like, my divorce is final. And we're like, yes.
I'm sure you get everything. What was the craziest shirt you ever saw or anyone that connected with you?
Oh, well, there was actually two people that like they had met on Ancestry.com. They were related. They had found each other. It might have been an aunt and a niece. They'd found each other through Ancestry.com and their meeting was, they went to The View together.
Wow.
So so we'll get a lot. And then people love to share, which is great. And then I was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, you found each other. And then they wound up like, I think meeting in New York. And then this was one of the activities they did.
Right.
So yeah, it's wild.
Now, you live in Manhattan. Yes. I know you guys are now you're coming on phase 2.
Started today.
Long Island starting phase 3, I heard on Wednesday. And what happened with, when they stopped having the studio audience, what did they say to you? Or, how did that all happen?
For a little bit, I went in with just the ladies.
Okay.
So that was kind of fun. So at first, like I was just going in and sort of warming them up and I was there with the ladies because definitely when you eliminate the crowd in the studio, the energy changed. So then like we were having a lot of fun, but then the virus just got too serious. And then they literally, and at that point, when we were doing no audience, Joy was already at home. Whoopi was not far behind.
Right.
And then it was like, then they just sent everybody home. So and I understood that. They said, we just can't have people in the studio.
And I like how they actually made the background more cohesive now. Yes. So when you see the 4 of them, they actually look like they're in the studio.
Yeah. They actually, I want to say The View for me was one of the first shows that they really made it look great while they were at home. Because I think, it's hard when everybody has a different background. It doesn't feel as cohesive, exactly to your point. And they figured out a way. There's screens behind them. It's the studio. It feels
looks great. I think it
looks really good.
I think they're doing an excellent job. I've been watching The View since day 1. And along the ride, really all this time seeing the different cast members change and the whole big thing, and it's definitely I'm glad to see Whoopi's there as long as she has been.
Me too.
Because people come and go, but I'm glad it's the way it is.
Right.
And I'm thrilled for you because I was telling you how I was hoping that when the old warm-up comic left, I was saying, I hope they get a female warm-up comic. I really do. So, when I heard it was you, I was like, just so happy for you, really.
Thank you. You'll have to come once if there can be an audience and people can be.
I'd love to. I applied for tickets years ago. I never heard anything.
Oh no! Well, now listen, we can fix that now.
Thank you. I want to get back to you though. You have a big Italian family. Your father, you said, was born in Italy.
Yes.
Do you speak fluent Italian at all?
My Italian is pretty good. So my dad was born in Reggio Calabria, so tip of the boot. But it's funny. My dad really speaks dialect.
So
right. So the Italian I learned is actually from school because there was a really big gap, and it's funny because my nonna. I say this in the Italian chick show. She graduated from school in Italy in the 3rd grade. So that was when she finished. So when my Italian got advanced from learning it in college, then she was like, I don't even know what you're saying. Then she was like, because I would conjugate a verb that she's like, now what are you even talking about?
And you're speaking the proper.
Right, yes.
My neighbor, I'm Sicilian, 100% Sicilian from Messina and Catania. And my neighbor was from northern Italy. And we'd say, "Vieni qua." And then she's like, "No, it's "Vieni qui." And I'm like, "I don't know "Vieni qui." I say "Vieni qua." And she's like, "That's because you speak the slang. That's not the right way." And she goes, "If you're going to learn, it's got to be the proper way." And I was like, whatever. I was like, okay, all right.
Whatever.
I'm not going to argue with you, you old woman. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. You also, what else do I have here? You were in a movie?
Oh, one of my it's so funny. I'm like, one of my friends makes a lot of movies. I mean, I feel like, not those kind of movies. It's just, enough friends that are filmmakers that I've been in, not major motion pictures.
I know what you're saying. I hear you. I've been in a couple of indies myself.
Right. And they go to film festivals. They do well, but it's a different thing.
But it's fun. It fun.
Is. Yes.
It's really fun.
Well, no, one of my friends, I was a waitress, and then it was very funny. And I was with Robert Clohessy in a scene from Blue Bloods. And my friend was like, "Regina, stop doing whatever you're doing." He was like, "You keep shifting focus and you're literally just dropping off coffee." But he said everything I did was so big. And he was like, "Just be a waitress. Just stop whatever it is." So the way he edited it, he almost had to take my face out because he was like, "You were literally drawing too much attention to yourself." Because I don't think I stop. I don't stop. You know what I mean? I'm like,
right.
It's too much. It's too much, Teresa.
I get it. I totally get it. All right, we're going to take another quick break. We're going to come back with more with Regina DeCicco. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Tavolo Kitchen and Pizza, located at 1919 Wantagh Avenue in Wantagh. Hey, there's something for every night of the week. Tuesdays, pasta night. Wine Wednesdays. Friday, live music from 7 to 10. Sunday, brunch. So check them out at 516-308-4892 or www.tavolokitchen.com. They're also on Instagram. They do catering and private parties. So where do you want to go tonight?
Why don't we go to Coasters?
Oh, cool. I heard it's a great place. Let's check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Oh my God.
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited. What do I got? I got an accent going on.
Yeah, we're talking about Italian. Look at you now.
I'm so excited you're back with Tea Time. I'm here with Regina DeCicco. Before I get back to Regina, I just want to make a couple announcements. Tavolo and Coasters, my two advertisers that you are seeing, I want you to know that they are doing pickup and deliveries. So please support your local businesses. Also, Rescuing Families is a nonprofit. My friends Gina and Vinny run it. They try to raise money. They help people. They do home improvements with people with special needs. So they're at 1010 Lewiston Street in Franklin Square, and they're going to be there this Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 5. It's a huge yard sale. It's like their entire backyard. It's like 1,800 square feet. Everything is tented. You walk in, they give you sanitizer. They hand you a sanitized basket. You go in, 3 people to each section. You get what you want to get. You come out. You slide the basket underneath. They sanitize it. Then they sanitize your hands again. Everyone's good to go. So go there this weekend. Spend some money. Know it's going to a good cause. They also have a progressive 50-50 for $2. And it's just a great cause. And I love Gina. You're welcome, Gina. I love Gina and Vinny. They're great people, and they do great things for so many people. All right, let's get back to Regina DeCicco, my fellow Italian chick. Now we're going to talk about, hello, Kristen Tinsley's watching and listening. Let's talk about Boom Boom Marianne Boom Boom Maizano.
So now, did you know Marianne sang our wedding song? Marianne sang At Last. That was our first dance at our wedding, and she sang it. How amazing.
Etta James, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's a great song.
Yeah.
So was that At Last, and you got married 5 or 6 years ago?
It was 5 years in September.
5 years in September. September's a beautiful month. Beautiful people are born in September.
Oh, well, my.
Yeah. So you got married, and you're living in the city, and how's that going? Because
good. I mean, it's been very crazy.
5 years is still like, still kind of like a honeymoon. You know what I mean?
Ish. It was, I guess, until this quarantine. I mean, this has been really, like, we ran out of stuff to talk about on day 3 of this quarantine. It has been, because it's like, there's no new information. What did you eat? I was there. Who did you talk to? I was there. Right? What happened in the bathroom? I heard the double flush. It's a lot. It's been a lot.
Well, I said, either a lot of people are going to end up divorced or pregnant after 9 months, and I can't get pregnant. So anyway, so tell me how you met Marianne and how you became an Italian chick. Because I'm a newbie.
I met Marianne
I'm a newbie. So
I know you're a newbie. You're a newbie. Well, I feel like when I started comedy, I really started to look at women that had been in the industry for longer than I had. Just because you don't know what you're doing, and you quickly realize, like, every time, and I'm sure this would happen to you, you would do a show and it would be all men, and then you'd be like the lone female on the show. And you'd think this would have changed over time, but it still happens.
Yes.
Right? So then I started to look at, I'm like, okay,
and not too many comics talk about it. Not too many comics talk about it. I had on Maureen Langan.
Yes.
Okay, and she was saying how we live in a Kardashian world, and it's not, and that she's had owners tell her, you can't headline because vaginas don't sell. I mean, how more blunt can you get?
Right. No, it's true. So that's definitely, and I just remember at the beginning being like, I wish there were female mentors that I could talk to about this industry. And I'd actually sent out a bunch of messages myself, just to women that had been in the business for a while. And one of those messages went to Marianne, and, she got back in touch with me, just basically saying, validating all of my feelings. Because I was like, is this happening? Or do I? And she was like, no, it's real. Like, we got to stick with each other. We have to help each other. We have to pull each other up. And then that's when she was like talking about, because she was already kind of doing the Italian chicks, and then she kind of liked my energy. So it was good. And, she like really likes to perform and go crazy. So then she helped me. So I do like an insane character on stage with that show.
I saw the video. She sent me the video. It was great. It was great. But you know what it is? It's like a sisterhood. That's what it is. It's a sisterhood. And,
right.
Did you ever feel in your career, I mean, I know you've done so much, but did you ever feel in your career kind of like in between maybe gigs or jobs where you're like, am I supposed to be doing this? And if I could just get some kind of validation.
I think it's so hard because you do it for a long time. When you first start, I mean, no one's paying you to do it. You're doing it a lot, and if it's bringer shows or whatever you're doing. And I remember I did this one show, and it was for online. They put it on YouTube, and they had mentioned $25, and I just assumed I had to pay $25. And they handed me an envelope, and I got $25. And I remember I called it wasn't my husband then, but I'm like, John, like, I got $25. And he was like, you can buy us drinks, or you can buy one drink. And then I think it just takes a while to start to feel like, you're driving really far. And then if you figure out what you get paid versus how far you drove, you're like, that doesn't, you do a lot that doesn't make sense, is my point.
Right. And yes, and I totally understand. A lot of people who are civilians, though, they don't know the process. They think when they go to a comedy club, you know, everyone's getting paid, and there's so many different, you know, facets and factors, but you know, they don't know the blood, sweat, and tears and how much you really have to love it in order to keep at it. Because there are a lot of comics out there. Look, there are rumors going around now, you know, I hear it's going to be interesting to see who returns to comedy after this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, you know, we're living in an interesting time. I think this is going to test a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, we're not out there every week doing what we do.
Right.
And, you know, we're going to be like the Tin Man. We're going to need to be oiled a little bit.
It's true. And, you know, there won't be, it's funny, as soon as this started, I was talking to another comic who said when comedy opens back up again, there's not going to be enough spots for all of us because shows will be limited. And then now if the audience isn't full, then the budget's gone down.
Right. That's right. No one's going to get paid what they used to if they're only at half the capacity. Yeah. And
some places weren't paying what they should have before anyway. So now it's, wait, what are we doing? Right. You really have to love the game.
You do. And it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone, but I think that, you know, how I feel, and I've told Marianne this, it's I was at a point, I asked you because I was at a point where it's I'm going to put it out there. If I get in trouble, I get in trouble. I don't care. Comedy can be very cliquey. And comedy clubs can be very cliquey.
Yes.
And, you know, it's very hard to, thank you, Marianne. It's very hard to penetrate these comedy clubs when you know you're funny, you know you've been doing it a long time, you know you're worthy of stage time. And when you see someone who's doing comedy for 2 minutes get on stage, it hurts. And I was at a point where I don't want to knock on doors. I want to kick them in.
Right.
And like you, I dip my toes everywhere and I see where I land. And I've told Marianne this, and I'll say it out loud. I was at a point where I was like, you know, I ain't getting any younger. you know, my uterus fell out a long time ago. You know, do I really want to continue this? And then Gina Slaughter said, because we were in acting class together, and she recommended me to Marianne. And then the next thing I know, I'm sending her a tape, and she's like, I think you're funny. I want you as one of the Italian chicks. And I cried. I cried because it made me feel validated. And I was like, you know what? I do have what it takes. Right. I do. You know, and then I just, you know, because it's almost like a crapshoot. You don't know where you're going to end up landing.
Right.
No, you don't. But I know that I don't want to stop. You can't stop. You have to keep moving forward.
Yes.
Keep moving forward because you don't know where you're going to land. And you're living proof of that. You know what I mean?
No, I totally know what you mean. No, and it's crazy because sometimes you don't even know what's out there, and then you have to get out there and then find your place. And then sometimes you're like, you know what, we're going to make our own way and then do this show our own way. And I feel like for Marianne, that's the thing. It's like, no, here's my show. Here's what I'm giving, you know, and that takes a lot of work and guts to, I mean, she knows. I'm like trying to look at her, not like I can see you, boom, boom. I'm trying to make eye contact with the internet somehow. It doesn't even make sense. But yeah, you have to find your way sometimes, you know, and just figure out like, but no, I think it can be really soul crushing. I mean, I'll say it all the time. Like part of us, honestly, part of you has to be dead inside. Like comedy kills a part of you that then you can't get hurt anymore. And I mean, that's real. That's like, yeah.
You have to, I mean, I always say I have bigger balls than most men. And you know what I find? You know what I find, Regina? I really find as you get older, you don't give a crap. You really don't. I'm not as sensitive to things. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I'm at a point in my life where this is me and I love me and I accept me. And if you don't like me, screw you. But I'm not going to get hurt. I'm not going to get personally hurt. And I don't take anything personally anymore. I used to.
Right.
You know? And you can't in this industry. You know, you hear a lot more no's than yeses. So.
Yes. Right. And I think there's so many times where you do something and you're like, this is the thing. And then you get excited and you get worked up and then it's not the thing. Or I know, like, especially like right? I would tell my family, and they'd be like, this is it. And it's not it. And then nothing changed. And you're like,
God.
okay, that was not the thing we thought it would be.
So true. It's so true. Is there anyone that you want to work with that you haven't yet?
Oh, I don't know. It's funny because I've been thinking a lot back to like the stand-up specials that I would watch when I got into comedy. And then one of them was Kevin Meaney, who sadly Kevin Meaney passed away. But thankfully I had gotten to meet him, and then I had done Ladies of Laughter shows with him, which was amazing. So I was actually at the Pit one night, just downstairs at the Pit. That's the People's Improv Theater for people that don't know. So it's just like a downstairs little black box theater. And I could tell there was an older gentleman in there. And after the show, he came right over to me and he said, "You were great." And then I'm like, "You're Kevin Meaney." And then it's like, this is great. So I loved his stand-up special. Then I would always watch also then Margaret Cho and Sinbad.
Yes.
It's funny, like it was all their stand-up specials. And I guess thinking about it now, like they were all like very unique in their own way. Not all like really like joke punchline, like a little bit more storytelling, act outs. Because it's like now that I've developed my style, and people always say, "Where did it come from?" And I'm not really sure. But then when I think back to that, I'm like, well, this is what I was drawn to. And they had like unique, different opinions.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously they would be amazing, just because it was like I grew up watching them. You know what I mean? To go back like that. I mean, it's funny with who's working now. It's almost hard because it's very crazy now. It's weird when those people kind of become your peers in some ways when you see them around and you're like, oh, okay, this is a new reality.
Right. I mean, do you have to like pinch yourself every now and then and say, holy crap, I'm on the set of The View. I'm hanging out with Whoop. And there's, I'm like, this is kind of crazy.
Yes, no, I do. It's one of those things where I know a lot of people with the quarantine and they're like, you really have to like count your blessings when you have them. But I'm like, I was doing that before, so I can move on now. Yeah. But I was definitely, and if there was a day when Whoopi would be like, oh, you were funny as hell today. Like, then I'd be like, well, I'm done. I could just go, like, I don't need to do anything else today or ever because, that you had fun. And this is like, it's crazy.
It's insane. It's really insane, but it's a beautiful thing. And you know what? And I wake up every day. I say, thank you, God, for giving me another day. I don't take anything for granted.
No, you can't.
All right. So if someone was going to play you in a movie, who would it be?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'm like, I think it would be me, Teresa.
I try. No, you can't say you. That's obvious.
Well, I need to get in a big movie. Do you have any ideas who would play? It's funny. I never thought about it. I mean, it's really funny. I forget what show I was at. I was at a college and somebody was like, oh, you're like a cross between Amy Schumer and Melissa McCarthy. And I was like, oh, I think that's my goal weight.
That's funny because when people say, how do you describe yourself? I say I'm an Italian Melissa McCarthy.
Right. I do get that a lot. Yeah. Very and like physical, but I completely get it because she's so expressive and hilarious and not afraid.
Right. Yeah. She's great. She's been on SNL a lot too, coming out.
Yeah. She's hosted a lot.
That was great. I mean, that was great. Is there anything that, that you haven't done that you want to do?
I think I would love to do more warm-up now that I'm doing it. I mean, actually, I'd love to be a cartoon. I'd love to be the voice of a cartoon.
You want to do a voiceover?
Yes, I would love to do, but I feel it's funny because
you do some impersonations because you have it on your resume that you do voices.
Yes.
Would you like to throw a couple out?
Well, I mean, I don't know what the crowd knows. It's funny. I'm not warmed up, but I was doing a show at a college and this group of girls started laughing, independently of the show. And I was like, what's so funny? And they're like, you sound like someone, but we can't tell you who. And I said, no, you have to tell me. And they said, you sound like the slug lady from Monsters, Inc.
Marge.
Yeah. Roz.
Roz.
But Marge Simpson is not far off. Here's the thing. So then, literally, it was funny because then I was like, wait, what did she say? What did she say? And then I was like, I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching you. Right? It was crazy. But then, Teresa, I looked it up. That's a man that does that voice, Teresa.
Is it?
It's a man. I know. Welcome to my life.
Oh my God. You have listen, you have a very raspy kind of voice. I know when you stand up, you make fun of it.
I talk about it a lot.
I want to say hello to Bruno. How you doing, honey? Tell it to do Cartman.
Oh my goodness, wait. Hold on. Let me take a sip of water. Usually I warm up from you. Okay. Seriously, you guys. Usually I need to practice a little bit with Cartman, but yes, that's another man, by the way. So from South Park.
I know when I wake up in the morning, because I'm when I sing, I'm an alto. I don't have a very high voice.
Right.
But when I wake up in the morning, everyone's like, "What's wrong with your voice?" And I'm like, "This is my Brenda Vaccaro voice." Like my voice is like totally different. Everyone's got that morning voice when they.
No, it's true. But mine is all day, Teresa. Mine is all.
Yours stays with you all day.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is when I took a stand-up class at the comic strip. Yeah. And one day we went out after for a drink, and the guys in the class were like, "You're so lucky. You sound that way. It will be great for comedy." And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Regina, your voice." And I said, and they said, you don't think your voice is crazy for a lady? And it was like I had a montage, Teresa, in my head of like, people would call when I was little, and then they would be like, "Oh my God, did you just wake up?" Like, "Oh," and everyone was always like, "Oh, were you sick?" And I'm like, "It's 4:00 in the afternoon." Like, and it was like when these guys pointed, because to my family, this isn't weird because they're used, like little Regina sounded like this. So like my mom doesn't think it's weird.
Came
my
out of the womb, sound
always.
like that. But is there anyone else in your family who has like a very distinctive voice?
Not like this. Not like this.
Really? Wow.
But it's so then once they said it, I'm like, oh my goodness. I said, wait, now why does this happen?
But it is a positive because it makes you stand out and it makes you memorable.
Yes. So a lot of times I'll show up somewhere and they'll be like, "Oh, have you performed here before?" And then I'll be like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "Oh, wait, now I know who you are." Like they won't always recognize this, but when I open up my mouth, then people. Yeah. So it's for comedy. It's great because it's like a calling card. People remember.
Yeah. That's great.
It's so.
I want to say, Marianne's laughing.
She knows.
Laughing. Yeah, no. I just want to thank everyone. Hi, John Joseph is watching. Hi, John. Come on my show anytime you want. Regina is truly an amazing performer. Marianne saying, I said it to her the first time I saw her on stage.
She does. She's always so encouraging.
When was the first time she saw you on stage? Do you remember?
It's so funny because everything feels like it just happened.
Yeah, I know.
But that had to be.
Where the years go? I don't.
Oh yeah, it had to be 7 or 8, maybe 7 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
It's crazy. I know it all feels like I just started performing with the Italian Chicks, and now it's like I think that was 7 years ago.
And so I'm in Bat Boy, a Yankee Miracle, which is a traveling off-Broadway show about the life story of Ray Negron, who got caught spray painting Yankee Stadium years ago, back in the 70s. And they caught him, and instead of putting him in jail, George Steinbrenner made him a Yankee Bat Boy that night. Changed his life forever, and it's like a fairy tale story. When we performed in the Bronx, Danny Aiello was there, and the guy who plays Yogi Berra, Charlie, said to me, because we'd be in rehearsals, and he's like, Teresa, because in the beginning of the show, it's a very dramatic scene. I find my son shot dead, and I wear a dark wig to look more Puerto Rican. In the second half of the show, I put on a blonde wig, my boobs are sticking out, and I play a ditzy blonde, and it's very comedic. A lot of people don't know it's the same person. So Charlie said to me, you're so freaking good, you're so freaking funny, then you make me cry, you make me laugh, and I want to introduce you to Danny, and he's going to be here tonight. So I said, oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you so much. What happened was I didn't have, unfortunately, the pleasure of meeting him because when the show was over, he really didn't stick around, and it was in a huge theater, and he, wanted to get the heck out, which is fine. And Charlie's like, you'll meet him another time, Unfortunately, I never met him. I know you had the pleasure of meeting him. I know that he endorsed the Italian Chicks.
Yes.
And what was that like?
Well, I mean, he loves Marianne, first of all, and then he sang her song, City of Light.
Yeah.
his album. It was because I like had always, I mean, for me, like Moonstruck was such a family movie for us, which is how like we had fallen in love with him, but almost before everything else. But then it was just, I mean, just to have him, first of all, he hung out backstage before we went on, with the first time I met him, which was crazy. And then in the audience, he wound up sitting, he was right near my parents. So then when I was doing my crazy character, he was like cracking up, but then like my mom was near him and they were like holding hands, like laughing. And I think it's those little moments for me that make it seem like, okay, I'm not like to your point before, I'm never sure what I'm doing. I don't know what this path is. But when I look out at my mom and Danny, like, and he's cracking up and holding her hand, then I'm like, but right now in this moment, like, this is right.
Yeah.
This is right.
Yeah, I was watching something today, and they were saying how to be in the moment, to be present in the moment, and a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people are on their cell phones, or I'm talking to you, and I'm trying to be present and concentrate on you. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the next question, but I'm trying to focus on you. And a lot of people, it's hard to live like that with so many distractions. So for you to see your parents in that moment, that's what warms your heart, That's
I think so. And also I feel like though with comedy about like not being distracted, I kind of love that when we're on stage performing, you're not checking your cell phone, in those moments, in those minutes on stage, or the same with any performer, honestly, which is I think what ties us all together. We all like get in that moment and we live in those moments. Even like at the View too, it's like I just love that it's like, nope, no cell phone, like let's do this right now, and then we'll like get back to because the other stuff is always going to be there. Absolutely.
Well, you know what? This goes fast. We have about 3 minutes left.
Oh my goodness!
I know, girl. I know. So I want people to know how they find you. Shout out your Twitter and your Insta and your face and whatever you got.
And your face. So I would say definitely Instagram. It's Regina.DeCicco, Regina.DeCicco. My website is reginadecico.com. You can see photos and things. There's not really upcoming shows at this point in time.
Go to the website. And go to reginadecico.com. Watch the videos that she has there. They're hysterical.
And you can also, my Italian Chicks character is on there.
Yes.
My Mob Wives character. So if you want to check that out, you can find her at any Italian Chick show.
It's great. I love it. I just want to thank Ronnie's watching, and I just want to thank everyone for watching the show. We've got about two minutes left. I want to personally thank you for taking the time to come on my show and do this with me. Like I said, I know we were supposed to meet and work together. This is how we're meeting. And
we're still working together. Now we're doing this together, Teresa.
We are. I do. And I just want to say thank you because, you don't have to do this. And you said yes. And I appreciate it. I just want you to know I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
And I hope that everyone got to know you more. We have a minute left. So go to reginadecico.com. Look at her videos. Look at her bio. Read her bio. You've done so much in 10 years. You really, really have. And I know your family's proud of you. Your friends are proud of you. And I know you're proud of yourself. And it's like living in a fairy tale, kind of like, you got to pinch yourself and go, listen, not too many people wake up in the morning and say, I can't wait to get to work.
I know. It's been hard. I've missed it a lot. It's been very difficult. And it's so hard for everybody across the board.
Right.
But then it's like, I wish, it's sad for me. But thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, girl. Listen, we got to go. You stay there for a quick minute.
Okay.
But I want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching Tea Time. Come back next week when I have Rhonda Handsome on, okay? Yeah, Rhonda's coming on. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in again, Tea Time. See you next week. Ciao.
Ciao.